As John Dawson scrambles up the steps, the Fellowship reacts instantly. Dutch lays down magical covering fire, shielding his escape. Frank vanishes into the shadows, while the remaining two position themselves between the demonic horde and the stairwell entrance, ready to hold the line. John is panicked and confused, his mind racing as fast as his feet. Yet the shift from captive victim to unexpected hero is intoxicating. Adrenaline surges through him, and despite the chaos, a half-mad chuckle escapes his lips. Clutching the orb tightly, he sprints south down the fortress hallway, the thrill of purpose driving him forward. JD hears the sounds of battle fading behind him as he reaches a turn. A quick glance west confirms a dead end. His only option is to keep moving south. But blocking the doorway stands an imposing figure, a towering suit of arcane armor, its metal gleaming with enchanted energy. Without a word, it raises its shield and hefts a mighty longsword, positioning itself to strike down any who dare to pass. JD swallows hard, his breath ragged. The thrill of escape is quickly replaced by the cold reality of his next challenge. JD calls out, his voice urgent but steady.
I'm helping the mother. The demons have come, and they're trying to destroy this orb. You have to let me through.
For a moment, the armor remains motionless, its gleaming blade poised to strike. Then, against all logic, despite having no head, no mouth, no discernible way to speak, it responds. But the voice that echoes from within the enchanted suit is not what JD expects. The hollow, echoing voice of Mother Indigo fills the corridor, emanating from the enchanted armor.
As you were warned, this fortress is no longer a sanctuary. It is a battlefield. You were implored to leave, yet you have chosen to stay. As such, you will be confined. Any attempt to pass this checkpoint will be seen as an attack and met with force.
JD's breath catches as the armor shifts, its longsword gleaming in the dim light, poised to strike. The weight of Indigo's words presses down on him, and he quickly realizes. It's a magical recording, a preordained command woven into the fortress itself. Forcing his way through wouldn't mean just fighting a guardian. It would mean challenging the very will of the stronghold. And that was a battle he was sure he couldn't win. Feeling like a fool, JD spins on his heel and races back north, retracing his steps. His pulse pounds as he reaches the staircase, where Moira and Sierra stand firm, holding the choke point against the advancing demons. For a fleeting moment, he's drawn to them, not just as warriors, but as visions of strength and beauty. Against all common sense, an inexplicable urge tugs at him to stand close, to linger in their presence. But before the thought can take hold, Moira's sharp gaze snaps to him. The shock and frustration in her eyes cut through his hesitation like a blade. There's no time for foolishness. JD pushes forward, forcing himself to focus. As he passes the battle, he takes in the scene in quick, desperate flashes. One of the hellhounds lies dead, its twisted form motionless. The other writhes on the ground, clearly incapacitated. His brother, Tyrone, stands at the center of the chaos, completely surrounded, blood dripping from several deep wounds. JD barely has time to register the danger before the air crackles with dark energy. 3 FL spells streak towards him. 2 of them narrowly miss, slamming into the stone wall of the corridor, sending shards flying. But the third lands true. Devastating pain shoots through his already taxed nervous system, causing him to stagger as he flees past the defenders. The world seems to tilt, his vision blurring, but John Dawson somehow maintains his balance and continues moving north. JD pushes through the pain, forcing himself to keep running north. As his vision clears, he spots another stairwell ahead, leading back toward the main room. Then he hears it. The faint but unmistakable clap of small feet against stone, growing closer. His stomach tightens. At least one demon has slipped past the Fellowship and is closing in fast. Heart pounding, he grips the orb tighter and bolts toward an unguarded doorway. knowing time is slipping away. JD bursts through the doorway into a narrow passageway, his breath ragged as he pushes forward. He tries to keep up the pace, but the toll of his captivity under Charlas, the succubus, weighs on him. His once strong body, now weakened, protests with every step. He feels himself slowing, his legs growing heavier as he rounds a corner, pressing deeper into the fortress. The walls seem to close in around him, and with every breath, the pursuing footsteps grow louder. As John rounds the corner, his heart pounds at the sight of another unguarded doorway. Without hesitation, he barrels through it, desperate for a weapon, a hiding place, anything that might give him an edge. Instead, he skids to a halt, his breath catching in his throat. Towering before him is the largest mammal he has ever seen, a massive silverback gorilla, its powerful frame clad in an impeccably tailored, vibrantly colored suit in the Sapeur style. The gorilla's sharp eyes lock onto him, radiating a mix of authority and intrigue. John blinks, his mind scrambling to process what he's seeing.
Oh. Shit.
The gorilla scoffs, adjusting the cuffs of his immaculate suit with a touch of flair.
Oh, shit. Is that really all that comes to mind when you meet a primate pristinely at the peak of style? God, you Americans are even worse than you're given credit for.
His deep, velvety voice carries both irritation and a hint of amusement as he eyes JD with thinly veiled disappointment. The sheer confidence in his presence makes it clear. This is no ordinary gorilla. John blinks, suddenly feeling like a scolded child at one of his father's fancy galas, where a single misstep could earn a withering glare from the room's most refined guests. His mouth opens, an apology forming, but before he can speak, a blur of fire and fur explodes through the still-open doorway. The heat sears the air, and instinct takes over as JD stumbles forward, shielding the orb with his body. Whatever was chasing him has arrived, fast, relentless, and it's climbing his back with burning fury.